Welcome to the Imperial Grandstand. I'm Alan Imperial.
I'm Carlos Del Rosario.
And on today's show, we're doing Confessions of a Novice D&D Player. This is episode 2.
Becoming a DM. So, in our first episode, we talked about our journey, our history with Dungeons and Dragons, and
Shout out to Marlon Waynes.
yes, and how it has affected us tangentially. We've touched it, but we've never actually held it in our hands until we made the effort to actually do it. And I did some sessions at a wonderful place, a hexing company by Columbia University. I had some wonderful sessions there with a DM, and I was like, I'm excited. I want to do more of this, and I know my friends would love to play, but that would make me by default the DM.
Yeah.
Now, I held it off for years and years, but we all knew which way this train was going.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm out of excuses. We got COVID. We're inside. Like you're going crazy, and it's like you want to level up. We
needed to create.
You need to create, and
so that was the first episode, and we kind of talked about the things you need, like the starter kit, dice, friends.
Yeah, friends. And, all of it could generally just be done online if you really want to do that with a phone and a computer or whatnot. But, we gave you a few avenues. But this is my personal journey into becoming a DM. So, first off, as a DM, you generally need to know the rules. As a player, you kind of get away with not knowing the rules. That's what the DM is there for.
Yeah. A good player will maybe not know all the rules, but at least know what's on their character sheet. And we'll be going over how to create a character sheet in another episode.
Exactly. Yeah, looking forward to that. But as a DM, you're the adjudicator. You have to know the rules. People will just, it's like being a director. People will just come to you with questions. What about my character? What's my motivation? Well, actually, they should know their motivation.
Yeah. But their motivation will drive the player's questions by asking the DM a lot of things. As a really good example, really broad strokes, let's say you need to eat. And you ask the DM, because you're in a forest, is anything edible? Now, DM could do many things, and I don't know what they are because Carlos is the DM here. So what would happen if we're around in some place and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to look around?
Off the top of my head, and don't quote me on this. And again, this is a novice. This is we're novices still. I'm getting
We're
into
learning.
it, but I would say that you'd have to roll a survival roll if you're in the woods. And depending on the area that you're in, like a desert, you're not going to find much food in a desert. But in a forest, sure, the difficulty class would be much higher than like a frozen tundra.
Right.
So that's good to know.
And as a player, I have to know, I want to eat.
Yeah.
That's my motivation. And then I have to look at the player's, my character sheet and do something.
Yes.
And we'll go into details about that later. But see, that's the interaction. As the player, I don't need to know about what skills to use. I just need to know, I'm in a place and I want to do something.
Yeah, tell me what you want to do. I'll see if you can do it. And it's a negotiation. It's improv. It's a lot of things, and I love that. It's a creativity.
And then sometimes the dice just says no.
Sometimes no, you starve to death. Get a new sheet. Yes. First off, Dungeons and Dragons, it does come with a lot of reading. This is the 5th edition. It's been around for many decades, but the 5th edition, the edition that I started with, and is the current edition. That's probably one of the most streamlined versions of the game. There are other editions which I heard were harder and more based on video games, just because D&D wanted to compete with video games. But then they came to the realization, no, video games come to us, and we got to play by our own rules. And apparently 5e is the most popular D&D yet, so I'm glad for that.
Yeah, and from a player's standpoint, it gives you a lot of freedom on what to do. But as a novice, it's like, oh, I have these big tent poles. So it gives you freedom with a lot of hand holding from a player's standpoint. So
Yeah. So as a DM, you have to know things. That's generally your job. And generally, to know things, you need to read. And I could tell you personally, I don't want to read if I don't have to. I'm not saying I'm lazy, but it's like every time it's like, oh, is there something with pictures that I can just look at, something really fast that I can just skim over, something with blocks and blocks of text. It's very intimidating, and to me, it's never a one-to-one. I could never just. I was terrible at book reports. It's like, what was this book about? And I could give you 3 sentences. I don't know, stuff. But yeah, that's the way. But luckily, we live in the age of YouTube. Eventually, you'll have to read, I feel, if you're a DM, because you need to know, some of those rules really well. But I'm going to give you some tips on what I did personally to ready myself to become a DM. So here we go. The first person that I want to describe here is Don't Stop Thinking, CJ Lung. And he has an amazing channel. He has these magnificent animations. Okay, let's just wait for Martin Scorsese to finish up there. There we go. And he just breaks it, and he's so welcoming and so inviting, and yeah, there are some incredible videos, and he basically breaks it down
in a nice cartoon.
In a nice cartoon, and that's honestly, is there a better way to learn?
It worked for me as a child.
It works for me in my 30s. Yay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I learned stuff back in the day on
But the great thing about the cartoons is that it's cartoons are all about abstraction. It's like, if I just saw Christian Bale, I'm like, obviously I'm not Christian Bale, that's Christian Bale. But as a cartoon, it's like, oh, I could kind of see myself in that character. I could see what they're, why they're thinking, and that's just how it works. So yeah, he has a lot of great videos and a lot of good anecdotes on Dungeons and Dragons. So he begins with an intro, then an absolute beginner's guide, generally what Dungeons and Dragons is, then the same old combat, character creation, abilities. Yeah, there's an amazing amount of things. So I highly recommend this guy. He's great. Going back to the Matthew Mercer and Critical Role, he has there is a wonderful series called a Handbooker Helper, and again, they go through what is Handbooker Helper, and they just go through things, and these are just bite-sized videos. I love it. Just here's, it's not 3 entire hours on Dungeons and Dragons. Like, how did dice work?
Chunks.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay. I'll just watch. You don't have to watch all of them in a row. Just watch maybe 3 of them and then come back to it, and like you continue, and it's like, all right. Great, because being a DM, it's kind of information overload. There is a lot of information, and you may not want everything all in one go. You can't retain all that knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all these videos, they're all 4 or 5, 3 minutes long, but they all work together to do something.
Oh yes.
And I don't want to overwhelm the audience, so.
And
yeah, they all are separate, but all these things layer on top of each other to create a really good network and rules that just intertwine.
Sometimes
but it gets confusing.
It does get confusing. Sometimes they know absolutely that you will be confused with a video, and like multi-classing. which can get very complicated, especially with casting spells, because you may be casting spells from two classes, and they might have two separate rules, and they're like, okay, you can watch this video 13 more times if you want to. Yeah, but also, some great voice actors and some good players. There's some. I think the actress who plays Ellie from The Last of Us. She's one of the presenters, and she's great.
Nice.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend Handbooker Helper, and yeah, most of what a Critical Role does. Let's see. Ooh, here's another favorite of mine. The Dungeon Dudes. I discovered these guys, and they seem like really nice. This is, when you find YouTubers like, I could totally be friends with these dudes. And
I actually love them because they basically broke down, for me, what a bard's all about.
Yes, and this is probably my favorite of their series.
Yeah, I actually watched every one of these, so thank you so much. All about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So it's substantial, and they really do go into detail.
Yeah.
And as a first-time player, you might be like, the most important question is, what is your race and your class?
Yeah. Because I didn't know if I wanted to be, honestly, either a wizard or a bard.
Yes.
And I found out, there's only really 2 skills I want from the wizard class. And I found out because this is like, oh crap, I actually get them.
Yes. What I love, yes, they break down the classes, but they also give examples of, okay, what is the closest analogy you have to something in pop culture? So
yeah, something that is great is there'll be as an example, I never thought of this before, but they actually gave a great example of Tyrion Lannister.
Tyrion Lannister
is a bard.
You wanted to be Tyrion Lannister, therefore you wanted to be a bard.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And I know I helped our friend George be a paladin, because the example, like, he was in between being a ranger and being a paladin. So I just gave him 2 examples. Who would you rather be? Aragorn from Lord of the Rings or Steve Rogers? And his heart went to Steve Rogers, who is a paladin, making an oath, strong, stalwart. Yes, and that's how he became paladin. And yeah, I love these videos. Like, let's just say we have a new person who, I want to be the Incredible Hulk. I'm like, you're a barbarian. You are totally a barbarian because you take less damage. You could go into a rage, inflict more damage, and take less damage for a period of time.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 turns. But
yes,
what I love about these is not only are they good for DMs, so that way they could know all the player interactions, but it really breaks it down for the players themselves, because it actually helped me build my character.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because they really do tell you, you should be really focusing on X, Y, and Z instead of, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And as a dungeon master, it was important for me, maybe I was over-preparing, but to know the classes that my players were going to be, as much as I could, at least in the early, parts of the game. So I have to know what a bard could do in the first 3 levels, and what a paladin could do, and how all the rules for that. So because your players, who I assume would be first time players, will be lost, and they will need to come to you for guidance.
Yeah, something I also love about the Dungeon Dudes is that they broke down subclasses to me, and that was good.
Yes, I like that. Occasionally, the Canadian slips out, so they're like a boot.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's adorable. I love that.
it's like, ah,
oh, buddy. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. If I see these guys,
I love their basement though, where they film. It's like
they do. They seem really
they have
nice.
a really good table.
Yeah, I will. Okay, mark my words. If I see these two guys, I'm buying them a drink. I'm buying them a drink. We'll probably see them at a PAX or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there we go. You heard it here first. I will not renege.
All right.
Yeah, but
If New York ever opens up again.
But yeah, some wonderful other videos that are just all around, just questions you might have and their thoughts about making characters and mistakes and they do put an awful amount of unlike us putting actual effort into their videos. So
Something we aspire never to do.
hooray! All right, next one up. WASD20. Yeah, this guy's really interesting, and he's one of the first people I gravitated to because, you have other people who break down combat and stuff, but what he does with his How to Play D&D 5e is he gives a sample session. So he has a rogue and how a rogue would sneak around and do things and how they would attack and what they would have to roll. So I think that's wonderful. And
oh, he has an awesome map.
yeah, he's got a map. Yeah, and you can know the rules, but how they work, that's all theory. How they work practically is much more important, and that's why I like this channel and what he does is
some people just need to see somebody else play the game.
Yeah, like how hiding works or how sneak works. It's kind of all over the place, honestly.
Yeah, because you could either sneak to pass somebody, sneak to hide.
Yeah, and when is a person sneaking or hiding? When does that come into effect? And it's all over the place, and you'd have to kind of go along with it, but at least with this, it gives you an example of how to do it in a real world way. Let's see here. So those were some of the guys that give you the base rolls. Another guy that I like is Matt Colville. He's been playing D&D for years and years, and I will say he is the illustrious writer of the Delian Tomb.
Whoa.
Yes. The
Delian. That's the module.
That's the module. That's our first module. And I picked that module because
shout out to Matthew. Thank you for a great module.
And a module is basically just it's an adventure, and the module that we had was what we call a one shot, so it could be played in 1 or 2 sessions. But it's the Delian Tomb is everything you need for a first time adventure, and it has some RP, some role playing. You get to investigate. You're in the woods. You might get lost there.
I got us lost in the woods.
And then you track some goblins and
they can and you can sneak up on
and
you can sneak up on them. They can sneak up on you. It's
yeah. There's one trap and it's like, how do your players handle this? And of course there's a boss fight. And for a level 1 group, it's like, this is too much.
That's
oh my god.
Oh lord.
Yeah. You probably never heard of a bugbear.
We almost
but
died.
After that mission, you will know how strong bugbears are for a first level party. It's insane. But yeah, and you could probably find the module online for the Delian Tomb, and there are also maps online. So if you wanted to play on a grid, you can do that. Yeah. So yeah, that's Matt Colville, and he has an awful lot of tons and tons of videos. I don't know how many videos, but he has them all. And again, I think he
Oh, that's
has.
some adventure. That's clever.
Yeah, he literally has a section on new DMs, so check that out.
Is that in the playlist?
Let's see here, playlists. Let's see that. Favorites, jams. He has Dune, the one
Nice.
video on Dune.
All right, so you just have to search for it.
Yeah, search for it. You'll find it. But he's great. He's great, and you can tell. Oh, he's a real running the game. 96 videos.
There you go.
And all of them are pretty substantial, at least probably 10 minutes.
Oof.
So that's a lot of content. All right, once you get into, you're more familiar with the rules, maybe you need to see an actual game, and the first reaction, go to Geek and Sundry, see
Go
some
to
Critical Role, but some of those videos.
They make the assumption you know what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yes.
Beware. Don't just be like, oh, I want to see the video that everybody talks about with stealing a hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, if you just go into that 5-hour epic, which I saw, and you don't know what's happening, you're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, what are they talking about?
So
yeah.
So maybe go bite size.
Yeah, I personally like Critical Role, especially a Celeb D&D. But sometimes the video is too long. 4 hours, a 4-hour video. That's a piece of their adventure, not even the whole adventure, and that's a commitment. On Geek and Sundry, there's actually a playlist called Starter Kit, and every episode is 44 minutes, and they go through character creation, introductions, and then they actually go through a mission, and you have 7 people around a table. You see how checks work and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is manageable. And it's wonderful. It's kind of I think overall it's probably 2 hours, but they go through combat skill checks, class roles and battle tactics, healing and diplomacy, all the things you need to get started in a game. And I think this is wonderful. They have a second starter kit, but instead of starting at level 1, they start at level 5. So you see how leveling up works as well, and the new spells and abilities one could get.
Right, because something for the players is that your class becomes so much more at level 3 or level 5, where you choose something called a subclass. To keep it really simple, you basically choose another skill tree.
Yeah. This is a little off tangent, but I kind of like that the players that I have right now are starting at level 1.
Yeah.
Because
we'll grow into it.
You grow into it, and you start getting comfortable with your character, and it's hard. It's very hard in level 1 because the world is so big, and but yes, you get comfortable with your tactics, and then you get new abilities. So you learn how to use those new abilities with the abilities you've already been using, and you see how those work.
So it's pretty good at starting at level 5
Yeah.
because you see both how the how level 1 starts, where everybody starts, and then you see where it gets going and when the classes really differentiate themselves using those subclasses.
Oh yes.
So I gotta check that out.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I think there are different. Everyone plays different classes, so I think you have a paladin, a wizard. It's funny because the wizard, the ongoing joke is like, I can't hit anything.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because at range attacks, to keep it super simple, you can miss.
Yeah, and it's all up to just luck and
like we said before. Sometimes the dice just say no.
They just say no. Yeah. The next channel that I really like is XP to level 3, and I just find this guy funny. He's just really good, and he has these little skits of how to play rogue. And all right, hold on, wait for the thing. All right,
I
YouTube
think I
abs.
saw his how to play Bard,
Yeah,
and it was very sad.
it is. And it's like, does anyone want to use my Vardic inspiration? No, no. And it just makes these nice little skits about, and his friends are really into it too. But yeah, he's good. But he's knowledgeable, and if you want to know, he's done a lot of modules. So if you want to know about Curse of Strahd, that's a big adventure that's very popular, or the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. You know, this I want to know this man's opinion on it. So he's really fun to watch. All right. So you've YouTubed it up, or you have a good idea of Dungeons and Dragons.
You went through the starter kit and you read some of the books.
Yes, you read some of the books. Yeah. Again, there's always dndbeyond.com,
Yeah, and
and
it's under what they call the new player guide under the heading.
yeah, new player guide right here. I'm around here, and it gives you all the basics, and just if you want the official rules, you could go to this for free, and that's very nice. Also, they have game rules over here.
And the creature rules.
And creature
and
rules,
how
yeah.
they all work.
Uh-huh.
They do have a paid section, but we're not going to be talking about
We're
that.
not going to talk about that. I have not paid yet, so I can't really, talk about that. But
Once we fork over the cash.
yeah, if we do that, yeah, probably. But also there is the player's handbook that you can
Under sources.
yeah, that you can buy, and let's see here. Yeah, it's if you want to get it through D&D Online, it's
Oh, it's on my other account. It's on my.
Yeah.
How I logged it. Yeah.
uh-huh. Yeah, it's $30 and stuff. And there are other things, and there's a literal hard copy that you can buy as well. Another resource that I like is Roll20, and these guys they have a fair amount of information for free, by the way. So if I wanted to know more about bards, I would just search for that, and oh wait, maybe it's just bard. Yeah, there we go. And they just give us, all right, bards by level, bards by name, etc. Bardic inspiration. And this is stuff that's already in the player's handbook.
But instead of you having to be like, okay, I have to go to the index and find out where it is, here, just do a quick search and bada bing.
Yeah. Or maybe I wanted to know more about sneak attack. Here we go, and it knows.
It tells you it's a rogue ability.
It's a rogue ability. And it's like, all right, and this is something when we have games, I usually have a tab open for Roll20 just because they're the people. Even if I just go through Google itself. Bardic inspiration for 5e. Guess who comes up first? Roll20. Yeah. So
it beats D&D Beyond.
Yeah,
who literally made the game.
Yeah, let's just say I click on Bard class for. Yeah, here we go. And
it's there.
Yeah, it's there still, but
it's not nice because it's the entire character sheet. Whereas if you just go to Roll20,
yeah, it's I feel it's a little more streamlined for me.
Like, just click on the jump. Yeah, it's a lot simpler.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I want to know hit points and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
great.
Bardic Inspirations in the table of contents.
And you got a table of contents right there, so that's nice.
Yeah, so
and,
I actually do like Roll20 for my compendium.
Yeah.
The only time I like the D&D Beyond for the player, for myself, is when I want to know the exact wording of a rule.
And that's not it for Roll20. You can actually play games online. I've played a few games with my other friends. And
you could join a game.
You could join a game, play a game. Yeah, maybe you don't have any friends you could play with in person
because lockdown.
lockdown. Maybe you want to play through Roll20 or join a game. There are people who just need, we might need other people for, this Ravnica campaign. So that's nice. Let's see. So, that's basically it. In other videos, we'll talk about what I needed at the table for Dungeons and Dragons, including, an adventure and some other things like, do you need a DM screen, or what things do you need? Shorthand rules do you need in case you need to to look things up fast? And we'll also go through some character creation through D&D Beyond, so stay tuned.
I'm probably want to actually just build characters and show you what they're all trying to do, because there is so much there. That's going to be a fun one. One I would like to video that I like to do in the future for D&D is talking about what you need as a player. Because yes, we've been talking so much about how the DM has to come prepared. Look at all these tabs with all this research we're doing. But you shouldn't let your DM be doing all the work.
Yeah.
And that's a video that I'll be a quick one. That'll be like a nice 5-minute one.
Absolutely.
But,
all right,
there's
then.
that.
Yeah. So it's great. Well, so stay tuned, and I hope we didn't waste your time.